Hey everybody, how's it going? We are here with a timeless reading. Welcome. The first two cards that we have out are Hanged Man and the World. I'm also seeing the Devil. It's a lot of major arcanas. Ten of Cups. Ten of Swords, Nine of Cups. When we're dealing with the Hanged Man, usually we're working through something to come to a place of higher understanding. And there can also be a process of letting go of old framework so we can put the correct framework in place, I think, to really be able to understand, to perceive as accurately as we can, given the level of consciousness where we are. Having the world feels like this is something that's being accomplished. When we go through a Neptunian process, it can be fact versus fiction that we move through. It can be fantasy versus reality that we move through. It can be something that feels obscure that we move through. It can be something where delays or blockages are going on that we're moving through. Whatever this is, it feels like it has been accomplished. It's going to be all Neptunian themes. Oh, another thing with Neptune too is that boundaries can be involved, especially seeing Saturn here. Boundaries can be involved, and then like what we give and also what we take. So it can, what we give, what we overgive, what we receive, what we take, themes having to do with that. Also those things tying into boundaries too. This can be themes also of martyrdom versus you honoring yourself. Is this helpful to everybody, or is this more so coming from a place of I'm giving more to other people and then neglecting myself, or am I moving too far on the side of just thinking about myself and then neglecting others? It's about sort of like keeping and maintaining the balance of that. Lots of different things that Neptune can be involved in. So it's really just going to depend on how that energy impacts you, has a hold on you or doesn't, and what we work through given that. Now we also then have the Devil here. So this can be something that maybe at once wasn't being seen, that now I feel almost like it is tucked neatly back where it belongs. Because the Devil can show up and say, don't you want me? And it can be something where we have to figure out, like, is that a real thing for me? Is that not a real thing for me? Is that something that I'd actually feel happy with? Ten of Cups. Is that not actually? And it can be something that really poses, having Neptune here, it can be something that poses and you really have to look at it. You really have to think about it and say, is this something that's really showing me what I want, that I will feel happy with long term, that will be a sustained sense of joy within my life? Or is this something that it looks good on the outside and then I'm going to connect with that, or I'm going to make that choice and then I'm going to feel like that's not really what I was looking for, or yeah, that like doesn't really have the substance that was needed here, and knowing the difference between that. But when something like this poses itself, it really makes you do the work of figuring that out. It's not automatic. There are lots of different things that would have you believe otherwise. And so this is really having to go through that process of discernment. Because the Devil can present in all of the ways that would like potentially trick you into believing that something is other than it is. And having to like really work with yourself and go through that process so as not to be sort of like buy into the illusion of that. Then we also see Ten of Swords, which I feel like is further indicating that this is a process that is completing now, that you're not dealing with this, but it feels like this was just something that was being dealt with. And then we also have Nine of Cups. So I would say that you're more clear on what you want now, more clear on, I think, what's real for you and how your perspective has evolved through this process. So it feels like you're very much below the surface now and in touch. Something about all of these energies that are coming up, they feel kind of loaded to me. We are next seeing 10 of Pentacles and we're seeing 10 of Wands. We also have 9 of Pentacles here and we have Ace of Pentacles. When we have 10 of Pentacles and 10 of Wands, we can have something that we like, we can have something that we want to keep as well. Having 10 of Wands can feel like a lot of work that needs to be put in at times in order to maintain that. So there can be that side of, I like this, or this is what I need, or I'm enjoying this, or I'm good with this. And then that other side of 10 of Wands where it's like all of the work I think that it takes to put in order for this to be a reality for you. The next section that we have here is 9 of Pentacles and Ace of Pentacles. So I'd say that something new is getting started. When we have 9 of Pentacles, I'd say that you're already in a place where there's, I think, flexing what you're capable of, and this does feel like something immediately that you would fall into and feel good with too. There's also something here that is related with the Devil and 9 of Pentacles with power, independence, authority versus giving those things away, which that is what would happen if the Devil's involved. 9 of Pentacles is going to be like you having those things within you, like you being the one that's sort of in control, maneuvering through things. So that's also a theme that I'm seeing here too. I'm seeing 10 of Cups be connected with Ace of Pentacles, so I definitely say that this chapter that's getting started is one that feels right to you, and you would definitely feel that within you. There would be a feeling of being settled within this, and that this is something that you want now. And then we also have 4 of Wands and we have King of Swords, and so I'd say that this is having you have to do all of this problem solving that is associated with what's established within your life, what's being maintained within your life, what needs to be worked with, what's meant to stay the same. It's a whole process of, if I want to feel like things feel steady, like things feel like they're doing what they're supposed to, functioning the way that they're supposed to within my life, and that everything is sort of supporting and complementing. When there's any of that not happening, it's doing what needs to be done to get back on track where that is what's happening. And it feels like this process is what had to be moved through in order for that. There could have definitely been a strain if there was some type of, I see this as being 2 different ways, but can be both of these. They don't have to exclude one another. Having Hanged Man and having 10 of Wands can mean the pressure and I think the energy that needs to be exerted in order to really get to the truth. It can also be about letting go of tactics that we no longer need, or ways of, I think, doing things that aren't actually beneficial, but that we may have told ourselves were beneficial, that actually aren't when we take a closer look at it. And then the difference between, I think, putting in work that feels effective, where we are building and where we are establishing and gaining, versus what we need to let go of, that being part of the process. Also to working with you having power versus giving away your power, what really is what you want and what you'll feel happy with, what you'll feel good with, versus what looks like you might and then you bite into it and it's not at all what you thought. And moving through that type of process, which can sort of pose a lot of challenges, can sometimes undo things. And then it looks like having worked through this and then being in a position where it feels like things are in right order. That's the feeling that I get from this. And then also feeling like, okay, I've worked through that, where I needed to evolve and understand things, that has happened. And now I feel like stuff is the way that it needs to be. Like I have corrected the things that needed to be corrected. I've addressed the things that needed to be addressed. And the ways that I've been seeing things, understanding things, I have mentally evolved. I have psychologically evolved. And now I'm in this position where I feel like I'm very, very familiar with what's going on the deepest level for me internally, where I'm not trying to figure this out anymore. It feels like these things have been figured out. So it feels kind of like a conclusive place that you've gotten to, where you feel like you have completed a process that I think was like quite tricky actually to move through and to really find the truth within it, versus confusion, versus the projecting, versus maybe the wounding, like versus all of those things, and really get to this place where you're like, nope, I'm really clear on this, and that's where it needs to be for me. So it doesn't feel like there's any more like figuring out now at this point, and it feels like things have been set right ultimately. I do feel like this chapter could have thrown you for a bit of a loop. I feel like more mentally actually than anything. And emotions can be involved in this process too. Because it's going to have to do with like what you're feeling and whatnot being part of this. But now where you are, I'm seeing you be starting this new chapter and feeling like things really, like you're really on track here. And you know that within you. You're not like, I think so. This feels like pretty confident to me. And I would say that things have been tweaked and things have been changed and processes have been gone through where I don't think that the structures are going to look exactly the same. And I'm also seeing that be a good thing, because it feels like it's more reflective of what feels in deep harmony with you and your heart. What makes sense for you, what you want, what you need, what is ideal for you, and that is being established now. So that's where we are with things. Going through this process too, there could have also been some letting go that had to happen as well. And I think like really reflecting on things, really thinking about things too. Even in a practical sense, that can be part of it. And not letting a type of temptation come through that would not be like the real deal or a real fit for you, to not be fooled sort of by the facade of something, and to take a closer look rather than just looking at it and being like, I'm just going to take this as it's presenting itself to me. It feels like really looking into things and making sure that there's discernment that's being used there. And I feel like just everything that you needed to see has been exposed, but it could have been sort of took you down a really weird winding path. But I do feel like you're sort of, like you've connected with yourself again. And it feels like this part of things is over now at this point. I also see this process of having to do with sort of what you're working on currently. And what you feel you're meant to be working on. Where you're going, what you're doing with that. I'm also seeing that this chapter that is beginning, it feels like things have really come together, and it feels like being in a good place now. And for some of you, there can be relationships that are now in a good place too. Like there's been some type of resolution. And it can also feel like it's like that with your relationship with yourself too. Yeah, I feel like stuff having to do with indecision and having to work through, again, like what's like fact versus fiction, what's actual guidance that you're getting or sort of what you're receiving versus what may be something that's misguided or misdirected. What are thoughts based off of truth that are actually accurate versus what may you be telling yourself or maybe believing that wasn't totally in a place of truth, or there was just stuff to it that I think wasn't super upfront. I'm also hearing accountable. So yeah, we are going to leave things here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.